me see, Milton. Make sure he's on camera. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Good morning. Welcome to Ask the Maester Live. It's Tuesday. We're going to be talking about your questions, stuff from the latest episode of Game of Thrones. The Queen's Justice. I'm here with my son Milton. Let's do this. Let's see. A few questions that were really popular from the last episode were just about stuff about what is Littlefinger up to. He kind of made a face when Master Wolkan was like, "Oh, the scrolls," and when Sansa, noted that Luwin kept copies of the scrolls. What could it possibly be? You think about like communication that Littlefinger has had between Winterfell and that he's sent to Winterfell is really not that much. The only thing, as I said in the piece, that's possible that I think is it could possibly be outside of like some kind of R plus L equals J reveal thing, is something that connects Littlefinger to the Catspaw, aka the hitman that tried to cut Bran's throat in, I want to say, episode 2 or 3 of season 1. You recall, like, a fire starts off in Winterfell somewhere, and that draws people's attention, and then all of a sudden, this assassin appears, and Kat is still in the room knitting her little, wicker man-like baskets, and the guy's like, "You're not supposed to be here," and they fight, and then it ends up that Summer kills him. Who hired that guy? And he was carrying a Valyrian steel dagger, which is, when you think about it, like, pretty crazy. That's a super rare weapon to give to like some guy to kill a kid. And it suggests that whoever hired him had some kind of other leverage over this guy, because like, why wouldn't you just be like, take the job, leave, sell the dagger for millions, and then just go live in Bravos like for the rest of your life? I don't know why that didn't happen, but so I think that's what it is. I think the scroll will be some sort of connection that connects Littlefinger to that person. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Questions. Scott McG. Besides Varys, who could actually be a mole in Dany's crew? I don't know. Like, the thing about Varys is it kind of seems like almost too obvious. I'm not sure that Dany has a mole so much as Tyrion has just been bad. He's just done like kind of dumb stuff lately.
Talk about his
strategy. Like they knew that Euron was in play and was going to be an antagonist. Yara, at least, and Theon certainly knew that. So why then do you split your fleet? You know what I mean? Like, don't split your fleet into 3 wings, but 2 active wings. So there's like the people that are around Dragonstone. There's Yara, who's going to Dorne, and then there's the Unsullied, who are going like all the way around the continent where no one can support them and help them if they get in trouble. That's a bad plan, especially when your enemy is like really good at sea. So I think more likely than not, Tyrion is just effing up. Like, I think really that's it. Nick, think Yara Asha is going to get the Aeron treatment a la the Forsaken chapter. Interesting. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think so, but I just don't think there's enough time left for that. That's an interesting question. I like that. Alan, where was the Tyrell army? Why were they so caught off guard when they all died at the sack of Highgarden? BNW, a.k.a. Benioff and Weiss, kind of mentioned this in the after scenes, the little director's commentary that they do after every episode. And it basically boils down to the Tyrells are bad at fighting, which is not satisfying at all. Like, Highgarden is a substantial castle. It should not have been taken that easily. It just seems like, part of the thing that to get used to, that is like a tough thing to get used to, is just the pacing of this season. There's just like so much to do and not a lot of time. The answer is the Tyrells should not have been taken that easily. Even if you're bad at fighting, like, how bad can you possibly be that you can't hold like a castle with multiple walls, that's built on the top of a hill, that has like a freaking moat around it, that has, the cool thing about Highgarden in the books is it has like this like hedge maze like inside the walls that's like just really hard to navigate. Like it's designed obviously to be beautiful, but also to just confuse attackers who would possibly try and take it. So, you know, theoretically, like a small group of Tyrell dudes could have held that for a long time. It's just expedience, which is kind of lame. Brian, what was Melisandre referring to when she said that both she and Varys had to die in Westeros? Well, I mean, she's trying to intimate that she still can look into the flames and see stuff. I think the cool thing about Melisandre's character this season is she's less like, hey, you know what? I know exactly what is going to happen. Now she's kind of like, she hedges a lot more. But yeah, she's trying to suggest that she knows that they are both going to die in Westeros. Now, for Melisandre, to me, the interesting question is, why is she going to Volantis? What's she doing there? Volantis is one of the power centers of the Red God of R'hllor. That's like where the major temple is. So that's, I think, an obvious thing would be it would have something to do with R'hllor. What else? I don't know, but that's like that to me is the interesting question. As for like the dying in Westeros prediction, especially for Varys, it's eerie, and certainly with Varys's background of having been mutilated by a blood magician wizard, it would be ominous to him. At the same time, like, he's involved in a war in Westeros. It's not like that's amazing. Like, you're going to die in Westeros. It'd be like telling me I'm going to die in Los Angeles. I live here. You know, like, I mean, it's a decent bet. You know, it's not a bad bet. You know, and then if you expanded it out to the continent, you know, I think that's probably like a 100% bet. Will, are Dany's dragons old enough to produce offspring? If so, why aren't they mating? Interesting. Dragons don't mate in the traditional way that we think. They have both sexes, essentially. They're hermaphroditic. They're male when they need to be, and then they display female characteristics when they need to be. This is not really well understood. But as I understand it, and as the text kind of intimates, all dragons lay eggs. There's no actual sex process, which is sad for them. You know, that's upsetting. But I don't know. You would imagine that they would lay an egg at some point soon, but they would need someplace peaceful to chill. Maybe Dragonstone is a place. Parker. Maybe they're just not ready. There's like been a lot of stuff going on. They flew across the ocean. There's like battles, new home. It's like they may not be comfortable yet. Parker, how do we think Dany might react when she learns that Jon Snow is murdered and brought back to life? How will anyone react? It would be ominous. Like, Jon is already having trouble selling the idea of the Army of the Dead, the Night King. Not that he's doing like a great job explaining it. The Army of the Dead. Okay. The Night King. Give me more. Explain this more. So you would imagine saying like, also, I was stabbed numerous times and brought back to life. Is just a weird topic to broach. And also, like, he's obviously ashamed of it. The thing I love about Jon this season is he's like, so like, he was emo before because he was sad because he wasn't part of the family and nobody liked him. Kat was mean to him all the time. But now he's just like legitimately depressed, like clinical depression. He's just like, you know, like Dany at one point says to him when they're talking about Tyrion, we all enjoy the things, you know, we're good at. And he's like, I don't. I love that about Jon this season. I just love that there's like triple down on it. Like he's borderline suicidal. Like the Battle of the Bastards, he leaves the army and is like, I'm going to fight the cavalry by myself. That's, I mean, on the one hand, it's dumb, but on the other hand, like those are the actions of someone who's like, I cheated death. I didn't really deserve to, so let's just like drive without a seatbelt on for the rest of my life. Matt, think Jon will figure out his parentage by his ability to ride dragons? No, I think it's going to be something else. I think it's going to be something else. Maybe Bran? I think that the dragons will be a hint. And I love the moment from this episode where it's like a touch on the nose, but so Jon had just arrived in Dragonstone, they're walking up the walkway, and he's like, I'm not a Stark. And then Drogon comes and like does it and buzzes him like a foot over his head. Yeah, that's a hint. Ian, who's in charge of Dorne now? It's a good question. Technically, no one, but you would imagine there's like numerous notable families of Dorne, the Danes, etc., who have a long and venerable history and who you would expect would take control. The Tyrells were like not a major house of Dorne until the Rhoynar arrived from Essos. So these things just happen over time. Patrick's son, who is the Scaramucci of Westeros? Yo, who is the Scaramouche of Westeros? Let's see. Yo, real talk? I think it's like, I actually think...
Has a job, gets the job...
It might be Jon Connington from Robert's Rebellion, who was Hand of the King for like 10 days and got dismissed because he wasn't like helping out enough. That's a deep cut. Who right now is the Scaramucci of Westeros? Holy cow.
That's Euron?
No, Euron is too good at like doing shit.
The scene where Pycelle is doing the announcement for the Viper in the mountain, and Tyler's like, no, get out of here.
It could be Pycelle. R.I.P. Mitch, will Jorah's role be to step in as military advisor after Tyrion's poor decision? I think that's like a lock. I think it's a mortal lock. Like Tyrion, for all his political talents, has shown himself to be bad at military affairs. Grey Worm told him as such in Marine when the Great Pyramid was getting bombarded by like fire ships. Is like, no more. You did this. You don't get to talk about the army, what the army does anymore. So I think that's probably a thing that's going to happen. Andy, is Tyrion now the Phil Jackson of Westeros? No. Littlefinger, after his enemies everywhere, everyone is your friend, everyone is your enemy. See everything all the time on all levels of reality. Every possibility is like that was some like grade A, like candy flipping at a rave and chilling in the ambient room like conversations. That was wild. That was like wild stuff from Littlefinger. He is the Phil Jackson. Mike, could the Night King control Jon since he's dead? I'm going to say no, but I think this is an important. I think that, not necessarily that the Night King could control him, but I think that that's a part of Jon's fear and his shame at what has happened to him. Like, his big thing is we need to fight the army of the dead. At the same time, he came back from the dead. He has to, like, that would make you wonder, what am I? So I think that questions like that play an important role in Jon's character right now. A couple more. Logan. Who do you think will kill Cersei? I'm on team Valonqar as Jaime. I've been for a while. I don't know if that's true, but that's how I feel. Joe Corcoran. Kevin with an A is the mooch. No, Kevin with an A. Kevin with an A was like extremely conservative in his decisions, almost timid. He never said wild stuff about anybody. Like, he's not the mooch. He's not the mooch. Justin, does Milton aspire to be a direwolf? Milton is a direwolf. He's purebred direwolf. Not many of them south of the wall. Milton, you ready? Are you a direwolf? Who's a direwolf? Is it you? Yeah, he is. He attacks on command. Mia, will Gendry emerge to mine Dragonglass for Jon? I think Mia, Gendry, while an orphan and like a guy who did manual labor working as a smith for many years, I think he's kind of like above, as a character, above go mine Dragonglass right now. Like, Jon has those dudes who rode with him in the ship and the Dothraki to mine Dragonglass. By the way, like, Danny was like, I'll provide you with men and material to mine the Dragonglass. That means like Dothraki blood riders who thought they were going to be like destroying castles and pulling down towers and carting off the vast wealth of Westeros. It's like, go mine rocks, guys. Sorry, this sucks. Yeah, I think that is a thing that's going to occur. I'll take one more, two more. Alex, in a short period of, should I do that one?
Yeah, that's from the piece. I got one right here.
Sure. Scotty, why isn't Dany and or the dragons defending the entrance to Blackwater Bay to stop Euron from coming and going? Well, I think one, Euron is gone already, seemingly, unless he left a few ships around King's Landing, and the force that attacked is attacking Grey Worm's fleet is some segment of his fleet and not the entire fleet. 1,000 ships is a lot. You could send 300 to go take care of the Unsullied and leave the bulk of your force around King's Landing. Why isn't she doing that? Well, I mean, Dany suggested doing that. Dany was like, I'm going to get on my dragons and ships are made of wood. Do the math. And then her advisors were like, no, what about an arrow from, which is like a weird thing, by the way, to be worried about. Like, Meraxes was down by like a scorpion 300 years ago, and nobody ostensibly knows about top secret giant crossbow. But I can understand like not wanting to put the queen in play this early in the chess game. But at the same time, like, yeah, why not just fly him high over King's Landing to make people scared, right? To just sit let's play these bad boys. Let's send them out there. Let's just do a flyover and see what happens. Should at least be reconnoitering Westeros from Dragonback all the time. One more. Alex, how big is Dany's army at this point? Significantly big. I mean, the Unsullied were like 8,000 when she bought them. So you figure they're less than that now. Let's call it 6 and change. Although they are now separate from her. Yara's fleet is gone, but the Dornish are intact. Let's call them 10,000 spearmen, although they have to march up from Dorne now and they can't sail. Forces of the Reach, I guess you would imagine that they're out of play, although, like, in theory, some forces still loyal to Olenna maybe would try and rally to the queen after what happened, but, like, let's leave them out of it. The Dothraki, I mean, she sailed over with, like, the entire Khalasar. That's, like, I don't know, I can't even figure it. Tens of thousands of Dothraki. It's, like, big. The problem there is, like, they're not great at following directions. They'll just be like, let's destroy everything. All right. Guys, thank you for joining us. Binge Mode will come out Wednesday in the evening. As soon as we can get it up, we will get it up, I swear to God. Talk of Thrones every Sunday night after the East Coast airing of Game of Thrones. And check the Ringer for all our Game of Thrones content, all of our great content on every range of human endeavor. And goodbye and good luck. Shouts to Mooch!